I think the dust has settled a little bit on the first week. It's now about Wednesday or Thursday, so maybe everybody can settle down and just kind of relax here. I want to show you the final project review for this course, and what this is going to be is an overview of what you should learn out of the course. So I'm going to do the first 4 weeks, which takes us up to the capital budget. And then I'll do another video on the last couple of weeks, 4 weeks, so that you have an overall idea of what we're trying to do here and kind of what the main points you should bring out as you come through the course. The first thing we look at, and obviously the first chapters is all about financial accounting versus managerial accounting. And from what I'm seeing in the first week's lessons turned in, you're pretty well getting that. Financial accounting uses GAAP and is used for external people. The managerial accounting is used doesn't have the GAAP rules, okay? And it's used internally in the company to make pricing decisions and decisions on whether to uh, lease or buy or sell equipment. So that's what we're mainly going to be focusing on here in this course is costing, pricing, um, decisions whether to buy, sell, make, other things about capital expenditures. And then the very last thing we look at is called activity-based costing. So we're going to really look at two main costing systems. One's called job and one's called process. And then we're going to look at activity-based costing. So let's get back to job cost. And this is your final assignment for the review. And we're going to ask you to put all of these costs into the proper area, apply the direct labor cost, and apply the overhead rate, and come up with a total cost for each one of these. And if you'll notice at the bottom, it says in process, sold, and finished. That's going to come into play here, where we ask you how much is in work in process, what's the full amount, how much is in finished goods, and what was cost of goods sold. And you'll do that by plugging in all these numbers and adding this up. And here are your instructions up here. This is an overview of actually the whole class, because what you end up doing is I give you a video on how to do this stuff, and these are called participation points. You fill out that homework or that particular assignment, and then there's a homework assignment that will follow along or very similar to the participation points that you'll do on your own. And you should be able to use the book back and forth. And if that doesn't work, then you can email me. So about everything you do is going to have a video that shows you how to do it. So that's job cost. Then you're going to look at overhead and how to calculate predetermined overhead. That's really very simple because you're going to take the estimate and divide it by whatever the basis is. And that's kind of going to give you an idea of how to calculate predetermined overhead rates. Again, we'll show you how to do this in the uh, participation points. This is very important because you use this in all three of the types of costing we look at. Process cost. This is a big one, and I actually have a video that is in, I think this is chapter 18, maybe, that shows you how to do one of these. Now, I'm not going to do a video on this one unless everybody just goes, oh, I can't do this. I'm freaks out. This is really, really very easy to do. Again, you take numbers here, put them over on this side, and do the calculations. What you're doing is allowing for or reconciling costs and units. And what you're going to do is find equivalent units, which is a very big issue when you're doing process costs because your processes never stop in most cases. So you always have inventory in process, and there are costs involved in that you want to um, allocate to the units that are in process. So this is going to be cost assignment and reconciliation. And again, we do one of these in the homework, actually. I think we might do one in participation points. So you should have a chance to figure out how to do this. If you have problems with this, please email and I'll be glad to help you with it. Break even is one of my favorite ones, and it's also one that you really need to understand. This will help you understand how many units you have to sell to at least break even. And from there, you can judge, well, can I sell that many units? Is that feasible for my area? So it's an important um, calculation. And you're going to learn about contribution margins. You're going to learn about contribution margin ratios, break-even sales and break-even units, and even how to predict how many units you have to sell to have a certain amount of profit. So this is getting into, must be chapter 18 or 19. Then we're going to look at variances. And variances kind of tell us, okay, where are we losing money and where are we gaining money? What are we doing with all of this, these calculations? And this is used for standard costing and is a really fun activity to do. So this will help you trying to decipher what area you're losing money in, if you're losing money. The next one we look at is variable costing versus absorption costing. And that's kind of interesting because the absorption costing is actually how we do it in financial accounting, whereas the variable, we look at fixed and variable cost, which takes you all the way back to the beginning where we looked at what's a variable cost, what's a fixed cost, what do we do with that. That comes directly off of the break even, where we split things up between variable costs and fixed costs. These are fun. Then we're going to do a cash budget. And I've really cut this down for the final. I'm just going to have you do the cash budget. I'm not going to have you do all the budgets leading up to it or have you do the income statements or balance sheet. I think being able to do a cash budget and understanding the concepts with that will help you do the either side of this because this is right in the middle of your budgeting process. So that, and then finally, this is the one that scares everybody. This is called capital decisions, and we're going to use present value tables. I provide you with everything you need here. Here are your tables. Here's each calculation. And we actually do this in the homework, so you will have very good models on how to complete this. So this is actually what you're going to do for the entire course, and I actually showed you everything right here. I thought it might take longer than that. So we're going to look at job cost. We're going to look at how to allocate overhead. We're going to look at process cost. We're going to then look at break-evens and break-even sales, break-even units, or how to predict a profit, what kind of units you need. We'll look at standard costs and variances. We'll look at that variable versus absorption costing. And we'll look at budgeting. And budgeting's a pretty good sized unit. And finally, we'll look at capital decisions. And oh, here's the ABC. Hi, sorry, I missed this one. This is the very last unit. Um, and this brings it all together. Again, these are really plug and chugs and knowing how and where to put the numbers and how to do the calculations. I've given you, these are check figures that you should come up with. Most of these will have check figures in them. I'm trying to see if this one has the check figures in it already. So you should be able to pull this all together. Again, this is what we're learning. And the reason why you have so many different costing units is because there's so many different unique types of products out there. And costing is trying to assign costs to unique products for that industry. So I'm hoping this helps a little bit. So you'll do job cost, you'll do the overhead, you'll do process cost, you'll do break evens, you'll do variances, you'll do variable and absorption costing, cash budgeting, capital decisions using present values, and then activity-based costing, or ABC. I hope this has helped, okay? If not, email me and I'll try to be a little more specific. So this is how all of your homework will look, okay? Most of these have very short explanations, and please, if I have a spelling error, I apologize. Again, new course. I've tried to get everything out of it, but sometimes it just doesn't. I miss something. So have a good course. Please email me with questions.